Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. So for the longest time, at least as far as I can remember, there have been a lot of people that have said this to me. I wasted so much time. Now they're talking about dating, where people believe that dating is a big waste of time. And it's like, okay, well, that's a bit counterintuitive when you really think about it, because if you truly want to find somebody, the only way essentially you're going to do that is dating, unless you are from a culture that believes in arranged marriages. So there's that. And then people are looking back at their past relationships where they believe that they've wasted so much time being in them, past marriages, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing. I don't believe it's a waste of time. I don't think that any relationship you've been in is a waste of time. I don't think you didn't waste any time at all, because you were essentially learning how to love, learning how to speak up, how to recognize what doesn't feel safe, even when it looks good on paper, and how to stop chasing potential and start honoring your peace. Dating isn't a waste of time. It's emotional research. It's pattern recognition. It's how you learn what's actually important to you, not just what your ego wants or what you think you want. And granted, some connections don't last, but that doesn't mean they were meaningless. It means that they were part of your emotional education. And now, hopefully, you're on the path to something different, hopefully something better, and more aligned to who you are now. And hopefully, we can figure out how to honor what you went through without dragging it into your future. Because Jesus, I can't remember the words now. Jesus, like the word actualization comes to mind. Self-aware. Jesus, wow. Okay, sorry. My apologies. Self-aware. The thing is you have to be self-aware in these types of situations. You can't just look back and write it off. You have to look back and go through everything, even if it means re-feeling everything that's happened. And go through it and try to learn and extract the lessons and the things that were important to you and not important to you. Now, let's talk about this phrase. I wasted my time. I mean, it's heavy. It's bitter. It's the kind of sentence that makes you feel like you've failed, like you should have known better. But here's the truth. You didn't waste your time. You were learning how to listen to yourself, how to recognize red flags, and how to mistake lust for intimacy. See, hindsight is 20/20. It's 20/20 for a reason, because when you look back, you can point out everything that went wrong. When you were in it, could you point it out? I mean, some people could, and they ignore it and do it anyways. Some people can't. Even the dates that went nowhere, they taught you something. They showed you what your heart reacts to. They revealed what you're drawn to and what you're finally ready to stop chasing. You weren't wasting time. You were collecting emotional data. You were building pattern recognition, and you were learning how to stop abandoning yourself. And yes, maybe at times you stayed too long. Maybe you ignored your gut. Maybe you gave someone more chances than they really deserved. And I hear about that a lot. But that doesn't mean you failed. It just means you were loyal. It means that you were hopeful. It means you were being human. I want you to do this, like sort of like an affirmation. Okay. Even if you have to like pause this, write this down or look at yourself in a mirror and say this to yourself. I didn't waste my time. I just stayed longer than my piece could handle. I didn't waste my time. I just stayed longer than my piece could handle. And now I want you to reflect back and ask yourself, what did you learn about yourself that you couldn't have learned any other way, aside from being in these relationships or dating or figuring people out or figuring yourself out? See, another part of all this, looking back, is grief. Something that we don't necessarily talk about. Because even when you leave something that's misaligned, it still hurts. And you're not grieving the pain, you're grieving the presence, the rhythm, the emotional familiarity of having someone there, even if they weren't the right someone. You miss the way they filled the space, the way they knew your routines, the way that they were woven into your day. Even if they weren't good for your peace, it's still something that we could miss. And that's what makes growth so confusing. Because you finally choose yourself. You finally stop tolerating what hurts. You finally walk away from what's been draining you. And then you cry. Not because you want to go back. Not because you lost something. Not something healthy, but something familiar. You're not grieving the version of you that accepted pain. You're grieving the loss of connection, even if it was misaligned. You're grieving the emotional investment, the time, the hope. When you would have someone to talk to or to call when something exciting happened or when something bad happened, depending on, the person that you were with and how they accepted those things. And this grief is valid. It doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It just means that you're human. Because even the wrong person can leave a void in your life. Even the wrong dynamic can feel like home. Even the misaligned relationship can carry moments of real tenderness. And it's these things that tend to keep us in something longer than we should. Because we always go back and think, hey, you know what? It can be good. It can feel like home. It can feel like someone cares. And that's grief. It's not nostalgia. It's actually your nervous system catching up with your clarity. And the truth is that it takes time. This is why when you get out of something, jumping into dating is not the right move. Because your body doesn't just let go, even though your mind has. Like, you could have made up your mind about this, but your body's still catching up to this. The feelings, they haven't been processed. You haven't gone through them yet. The routines, the patterns, the way you used to brace for their silence, the way you used to soften your truth just to keep the peace. So even when you knew it wasn't right, your body still misses the regulation that came from their presence, from knowing that somebody was there. Even if that regulation was built on survival. And it's not weakness. That's wiring. That's what it means to be human. That's what it means to become attached to somebody. So even if you're feeling confused, like you made the right decision up here, but it feels wrong inside, that is not a sign to go back. That's a sign for you to go inward, to sit with the ache, to let your nervous system and your body unlearn what it thought was love, to let you feel safe without them. I want you to, again, ask yourself some questions, thinking back to the last relationship or even dating for that matter. What part of a connection do you miss? And what part of it is costing your peace? What are you grieving? And what are you finally free to rebuild? What does safety feel like when you're the one that's not performing for it? And what does peace feel like when you're not trying to earn it from somebody? And we're going to let these answers be your new baseline. Not the chaos, not the chase, not the ache of almost. Peace is your new rhythm. Reframing what happened. It isn't denial. It's not pretending that something didn't hurt. It's not slapping a positive spin on the pain. Reframing, like moving forward, is emotional clarity. It's the skill of telling the truth without collapsing into shame, bitterness, or regret. And here's why it matters. Because dating, even when it ends in disappointment, is never a waste of time. It's emotional research. It's nervous system data. It's how you learn what feels safe, what feels off, and what feels like home. Now, I'm going to break down into some steps so that you can listen to this again if you need to. You can send it to people who possibly could use this. I hope you do, if you know someone that's in this position. But these are some steps to move past all of this, to get past this time-wasting idea, so that you better understand what your past actually has in store for you when it comes to education. First of all, we're going to name what happened. We're going to start with the raw truth, not the sugar-coated version, not the version that protects somebody else's reputation, just the facts. And here's the thing. This is something you can do with yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody. And being honest with yourself is probably one of the hardest things to do, because you are essentially acknowledging everything that happened to you and all the times that you let it happen and didn't react to it. And it's very tough to do this. So I want you to figure out, or I want you to name just the facts, just everything that happened. I stayed in something that didn't feel safe. I kept hoping they'd change. I ignored my gut because I didn't want to be alone. And these are reasons why people stay. And you have to essentially own this, because this step is about emotional honesty, not judgment, not blame, just clarity. I'm allowed to name what happened, even if it makes me feel uncomfortable. What did I feel but never say? What did I know but override or turn a blind eye to? And what truth am I finally ready to admit without guilt? That's going to be step 1. Step 2, separate the experience from your identity. Because here's the thing, you are not what happened to you. You are not the mistake. You are not the version of you that tolerated too much. Because you're here, you're single. Well, assuming that you are. Reframing means saying, I was loyal, not weak. I was hopeful, not foolish. And I was emotionally invested, and that's not something I need to apologize for. This step is about emotional dignity. It's how you stop bringing shame into your future. It's how you stop looking at your past relationship and blaming yourself. want you to write this down or say it to yourself. My worth isn't defined by what I accepted. It's revealed by what I am no longer available for. What part of you are you reclaiming? What version of you are you ready to lead with? What identity are you done performing? And what truth are you ready to embody? That's step 2. Step 3, extracting the lesson. This is where dating becomes emotional education, where heartbreak becomes the curriculum, where every misaligned connection becomes a mirror. Now we're going to break it down. Nervous system awareness. What did my body feel before I ignored it? Did I feel calm or addicted to the highs and lows? Boundary recognition. Where did I say yes when I meant no? What did I tolerate that now feels impossible to ignore? Pattern mapping. What dynamic kept repeating, even with different people? What emotional script am I finally ready to rewrite? Compatibility clarity. Was I dating their potential or their reality? Did I feel chosen or was I auditioning? Self-trust calibration. What did I know early on and why did I ignore it? How did I override it? What would it look like for me to trust myself next time? Say this to yourself or write this down. Every heartbreak taught me something my peace needed to know. Now ask yourself, what lessons are you still resisting? And what would change if you finally accepted it? What part of you, after being through all of this, is wiser now? And how do you get that version of you to lead into the future? Now, step 4, anchor the new story. This is where you lock it in, where you stop rehearsing the pain and start rehearsing the clarity. Write it, say it out loud, repeat it until your body believes it. I didn't fail, I evolved. I didn't waste time, I built clarity. I am not broken, I'm just done performing. This step is about emotional integration and how you stop repeating the story of loss and start living with the wisdom. Even if your dating history isn't that expansive and you were in serious relationships for the majority of your life, marriage, got divorced, did it all over again, you still have a wealth of knowledge inside you. This is where you need to go back, access that knowledge, learn from it, and then create a new story for yourself, a new belief, new boundaries. Reframing isn't forgetting, it's remembering with wisdom. Now ask yourself, what's the new story I'm ready to tell about that relationship? What truth am I finally ready to say without guilt? What emotional standard am I done compromising? And how do I protect it moving forward? So now that you've named it, you've framed it, extracted the lessons, and anchored a new story, what comes next? This is where you stop performing for people. This is where you stop auditioning for someone. This is where you stop chasing. And I mean, I've mentioned that in past podcasts before. This is where you start to choose peace. You start honoring yourself. You start building relationships that feel exciting, fulfilling, and safe. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking yourself, do I feel safe here? Do I feel seen here? Do I feel like myself here? And I mean, even in past podcasts where I've mentioned writing down how you want to feel, how you want someone to treat you, and how important these things are to you. Because chemistry without safety is chaos, and attention without consistency is just going to confuse you. And love without regulation is just emotional noise. What comes next is clarity, not just in your mind, but in your body. Remember to ask yourself, what does safety feel like? And how do you protect it? Boundaries. Think about it. What does peace feel like? And how do I stop trading it for potential? This even goes back to the two most important pillars in every relationship: communication and acceptance. Accepting people as they are, who they are, the way they treat you, how you feel. Not for the potential, not for what you think they can be. And what comes next? Emotional precision. You stop negotiating your standards. Your standards are the baseline. They don't reach them. See you later. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. You start naming what you need. You start honoring your boundaries. And you start walking away when your peace is compromised. Remind yourself, because I know a lot of people get gaslit. In fact, a friend of mine, one that I've mentioned before, she was talking to a guy, and within a matter of a couple of weeks, they sort of got into a little bit of an argument about something. And she asked him a question about their relationship, because it's only been a couple of weeks. So she's just trying to stay on path, clarify, being transparent. Hey, listen, like, is this where we're headed? Is this what's going on? And he acknowledged her question, but you know what he ended up saying to her? I don't like that you asked me this, because it feels like you're putting me on the spot. Yeah, that's the fucking point. I need clarity. Remind yourself, you are not difficult. You're emotionally precise. Then ask yourself, what emotional standards are you done compromising? Like what I just said. She did the right thing. She felt uneasy. She wanted to know. And him, he didn't want to have that conversation, as it seems. It challenged him. And instead of just giving a simple answer, he had to be a little crybaby about it. And I don't care. I'm going to say that out loud, because I'm going to call a spade a spade. What boundaries are you ready to enforce, even if it costs you the connection? And that's exactly what happened here. Because of her being a little bit forward and speaking her truth and wanting peace and wanting that security, it ended up costing her that, well, I can't really call it a relationship. It was a couple weeks long, but that guy. But all for the better. All for the better. Because what comes next is self-led dating, where you stop dating to be chosen and you start dating to choose. And again, this goes for everybody, not just women, men too. Listen, guys, I hope you're listening to this out there. You start dating to choose. You're not auditioning. You're not performing. You're evaluating. You're the one that's asking, does this connection honor my peace? Does this person meet me where I am, or would they rather change me? What does aligned connection feel like, and how do I recognize it faster? What red flags do I walk away from sooner without needing more proof? These are the things you need to know. And you will learn as you continue doing this. Because what comes next now is integration. You stop repeating the story of lost and you start living the story of wisdom. You stop asking yourself, why did I go through that? And start asking yourself, what did it teach me? And how do I honor it? You stop trying to forget. You start trying to remember with clarity. You start integrating the lessons into every choice, every boundary, every new connection. Learning from your past relationships, learning from all the dates. You're not bitter and you're not broken. You're going to be clear. And clarity, that is the most luxurious thing you can carry into your next chapter. Now, let's take a breath here for a second. Let's come back to center. Let's remember essentially what this whole episode is trying to give you, or what I'm trying to give you. You learn that grief just doesn't show up when something ends. It shows up when something misaligned is finally released. You're not grieving the pain. You're grieving the presence. You're grieving being with somebody. The emotional familiarity of having someone, even if they weren't the right someone. You learned that your nervous system needs time to catch up with this clarity, that these aha moments that you might have might feel great when you have them, but then when you're, laying in bed at night and can't sleep, and you're thinking like, oh, I sort of miss having someone sleeping beside me. And this is weird and it's different. That it's going to take time for your body to understand that missing someone doesn't mean that you should go back. It just means that you're human and that you're healing. You learned how to reframe, not by pretending it didn't hurt, but by telling the truth with wisdom, by separating the experience from your identity, by extracting the lessons, by anchoring your new story. You learn that dating isn't a waste of time. It's emotional research. It's how you build clarity. It's how you learn what peace feels like in your body. It's how you stop chasing potential and start honoring alignment. Just you, leading with emotional precision, nervous system integrity, and self-trust. I want you to repeat this to yourself. I'm not healing to go back. I'm healing to move forward. Let that be your compass. Let that be your new rhythm. Let that be your new standard. You are not broken. You're not behind. Doesn't matter how old you are, how many relationships you've been through. You're just becoming. And that's the most powerful thing you can be. If this episode has given you clarity, if it helped you name the grief, reframe the story, and reclaimed your emotional rhythm, then guess what? You've taken the first step to doing the work. And that's what healing sounds like. That's what emotional intelligence feels like. And I'm so happy that I could be the one that introduces it to you. I hope that this has helped. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, I appreciate you so much. I am so grateful to have you listen. If you want to get into contact with me, you know where to reach me. joeyfrancis.com, joeyfrances.com. And there you can send me an email. You can send me a message. There's also links to buy my books, because I honestly believe, especially in this type of situation, the book that I wrote, it's a guided journal, The Logic of Me, a guided journal for self-discovery, could most definitely help in these types of situations. So for this week, I know it's a little bit heavier than most weeks, not necessarily as fun. I just want to say to you, you're not just moving on, you're moving forward with clarity, with peace, and hopefully with power. Till next time.